What's going on, Illumineers? It's Willoughbys, and welcome back to the Lore Chronicles. So set 7 of Disney Lorcana is finally upon us. Archazia's Island is here, and whether you like it or not, we've got a big bad in Ruby Sapphire. This is going to be the deck to beat. A lot of people are saying it got power creeped, and more likely than not, you're going to be facing it back to back to back at your locals. When you face frustrating situations like this, it can be really easy after you lose a match to write off your opponent's success as getting lucky or just because of their deck choice and not because of their skill. And sometimes we do this without even realizing it. Nick Burns and I sat down to have a really important conversation with you, the Lorcana community, about why being able to lose is so important, and losing gracefully can only make you a better player in the end. Thanks for watching. Check out the discussion now. All right, we got to talk. And yes, I'm talking to you, but I'm also talking to the whole Lorcana community, okay? We have a problem in Lorcana, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it for this video. I'm being serious, okay? Dick, do you want to know what that problem is?
I'd love to know what that problem is.
This community cannot lose. Lorcana players hate losing. And it's a problem, and I'll tell you exactly why. Look, okay, jokes aside, okay, I'm being a little funny, but seriously, this is something that I've noticed, and I want to be clear, I'm guilty of it too. This is something I'm actively working on every day, okay, or every week when I play my locals. We suck at losing. Card game players in general, but I'm a Lorcana player, so we'll talk about Lorcana players. Lorcana players suck at losing, and I think it's genuinely a problem. Like, and what do I mean by this, right? Okay, Willoughbys is yelling. She's on her soapbox, but what is she talking about? Let me explain. Okay, we did a video where we talked about how losing felt bad. And everybody was like, losing does feel bad. And I get it. I said I cried. I hate when I lose, okay? But what's happened is losing doesn't just feel bad anymore. The problem is, instead of sitting with, oh man, I lost that game because of something that was in my control, players have gotten real comfortable being like, I didn't lose because I misplayed, or because I mulliganed wrong, or because of something that was in my control. I only lost because my opponent did this, or if they hadn't top decked that card. I only lost because my opponent got so lucky. They got 2 good top decks in a row. I only lost because they saw this one card that's terrible against my deck if I was playing anything else. I only lost, what we talked about last week, was because my opponent saw Daisy 3 times in a row, right? Rather than just accepting, okay, I lost, can't win them all, GG, go next. We just sit there and we be like, well, I mean, you only won because of this anyway, so it doesn't matter, right? We have to stop. All right, I've talked for 2 minutes. What do you think?
What do I think? I think you're right.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you know, some of it is, you know, just to get people to actually listen.
Right,
you know,
right.
Someone's coming out there, but it is, you know, it's a problem, and I'm sure it's a problem in all card games or all gaming in general. I mean, I went to a Catan tournament. Never again. These were the saltiest people I've ever met in my life. You would think they've been brined, all right? You think they swam there in the ocean. They were so salty. It was insane. And the second worst is anytime I would play poker in real life, every hand, someone had something snarky to say after they lost. No one could just lose. And you know what? If you don't want to kind of be more graceful, just because it's kind of rude to insinuate that the only reason someone could ever beat you is because they got luckier than you, there's some like actual tactical reasons that you should not act this way. One, people start acting this way like halfway through the game, right? Have you experienced this where like you kind of don't even know like if you're that far ahead, but your opponent is so miserable that you just know you're winning? Like, has that happened to you?
Yes, there will be times where I like genuinely am like focused on my own game, so I don't know what's in my opponent's hand, let's say, but then with the way that they huff and puff every time they draw, or like they just slam cards down or just pass the turn, I go, oh, they have all uninkables and can't ink to let's say B prep. So now I know I have time, right? Like, yes, 100% they are giving away free information. It happens all the time.
Yeah, and then the second thing, and like this is something Zach Bivens talks about all the time. So like if you don't want to listen to Willoughby's because it's their first card game, if you don't want to listen to me because I'm just some moron on the internet, all right? Everyone worships Zach Bivens, all right? So you can listen to that guy. You know, even when he loses, he said it in the TFM interview that he just did. Every time he loses, he thinks, what could I have done differently? Doesn't matter what my opponent did. And, you know, there's going to be times that at the end of that, you come up with, I did the best I could. Variants happen. Obviously, everyone gets unlucky. We don't need a bad beat story in between every single round. On TFM, we have a name for that. I'm not going to say it because it's mean. But yeah, that's just the way it is. If you truly want to get better at the game, you have to choose to want to get better at the game. And one of the ways to get better at anything in life is to mess up and then do it right the next time. But if you can't acknowledge you're messing up, how are you ever going to do it right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the thing, right? Is like when you aren't able to acknowledge that you did something wrong, or you could have even just maybe done something wrong. Like some people don't even want to consider that as a possibility, but like when you won't even consider that you might have done something wrong, how are you ever supposed to grow? Right? We commit so much of our time to this game and so much of our money to this game, right? It costs money to get these cards. I get it. Losing is uncomfortable. We put so much money. We fly out to DLCs across the country. We pay for the ticket. We pay for the plane ticket. You know, we pay for the side events just to lose, you know, just to get, you know, 0-3 drop, let's say in a DLC. I get it. It's frustrating, especially when you're not seeing the results you want. But the only way to get better is accepting that you have things you need to learn, right? And I think that, like, seriously, this is why this is so relevant, is because, like, if we just make a commitment to ourselves to, like, be better at accepting a loss, it's also going to make the community better. So it's like, yes, you individually, like Dick is saying, are going to improve your play. But like beyond that, if you think there's no way that you can improve your play and you're the best player out there and everybody, you know, who beats you got lucky, that's fine. But at least think of it as like, you know what, then I'll at least hold my tongue so that way I can make this community better. Because nothing feels worse then, like, and you know what, this happens all the time. Even people who like mean well, this is what I'm saying, like I used to be guilty of this. I'm still guilty of this sometimes. I get upset when I'm losing mid-round. I get it. Like it's not that we're blameless in this and that we aren't contributing to the problem, but I think it's like something that I've noticed myself that people aren't even willing to like look themselves in the eye and realize. Like I've had people who I consider like friends at my locals be like, oh yeah, like they'll be telling a buddy right next to me or right in front of me like, oh well, she only got lucky because can you believe she top decked this? That's the only reason she beat me. I had her on the ropes. Okay. And who, like, you don't, I think sometimes people don't even realize that they're like giving a backhanded, like, you know, compliment to their like opponent sometimes. Or similarly, you know, the last thing someone wants to hear, you know, after they've won is like, well, you only won because of this, and you like completely strip them of that win. So I think it's a real problem, and I think it's an easy fix. That's the thing. If you have nothing nice to say, just don't say anything at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, at CCS, I had like a little bit of a misunderstanding with my opponent, which was my fault because I talk out loud sometimes and don't realize it. And I wasn't criticizing him, but it sounded like I did. And then I elaborated when he said something where you know, Genie had just been printed. Everyone was talking about how Green Steel is dead, right? I ended up playing like one brawl in my deck, okay? My opponent stomped me with Diablo. I was just playing the odds of like, I'm not going to run into Diablo that day, right? And like, after the games, I was just like, I was like saying out loud, man, that Diablo is just like an absolute beating. And I'm going to continue with, because I cut the answers from my deck, you know, but he was like, well, yeah. And I'm like, oh, no, sorry. I'm not upset with you. This is my fault. Like, I might not have won anyway, just because I had more brawls in my deck. But like, I'm thinking, why did I lose this? What could I do differently in the future? Except I was stupid and was talking out loud, you know?
Right. And that's the thing, is like it happens to all of us. And that's also what puts people on the defensive, like your opponent. Like he probably was just used to, like, people hate playing against green steel or emerald steel. So that was probably what he was used to all day, and he thought it was just that again.
Yeah, dude, I went to locals, okay? Everyone, well, not everyone. People know AJ. He's 12, okay? Me and him are undefeated. I'm playing Amber Steel. He's playing Ruby Sapphire, right? He's the villain in this situation, I swear. Stupid 12-year-old. But I'm at 19. He's at 0. He won. How salty would some of these people be losing to a child, losing from 19 to 0 because Pirate's life every single turn? But he was so happy. Don't be the person that takes that away from someone. That, that's all I've got to say about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing is, like, yes, we want to be better for the other person and all of that stuff. And like, I get it. Some people are probably like, well, it's easy for you guys to say, you guys play competitively. But the thing is like, this really is for everybody. I understand in TCGs, it's an uncomfortable situation. You're sitting across from somebody you've never met before in your life, or even at locals. You usually like only know these people in the context of competing against them. Like, losing in and of itself is uncomfortable. Being in these social situations where you are like pitted against each other is like, it can foster, that kind of feeling where you get really into it. And there's nothing wrong with trying hard. That's not what we're talking about. We're not saying don't play to win. Every time you lose, just brush it off. You can internally, feel frustrated that you lost. I think what we're speaking to is like, it's not that, oh, losing shouldn't be a big deal. We just made a whole video about how losing sucks and it really is disappointing, but it's your own personal disappointment. Don't then turn around and take that out on your opponent. Like, and being able to like lose gracefully is a skill that's only going to make your game better. And I just think that people don't think about that. So like, this is not to say that like losing means, nothing, you're just complaining too much and it shouldn't matter, because we are the first people to tell you, watch, our video from a couple weeks ago, losing sucks regardless of what level you're at. So it's not that that doesn't exist, but it is what you choose to do with it, right? And so someone like me, who's in my first trading card game, I'm still learning how to do this. I've had times where, I play an opponent and I start, I always try to be friendly. So we're starting off, we're bantering, and then I start losing and I get locked in and I get super quiet. And they probably think I'm pissed, but like, at least I'm not like badgering my opponent with side comments. It is uncomfortable to play against when your opponent starts like, oh, well, fuck, you just find an inkle. You know what I mean? Like, it's uncomfortable. And so just like, sometimes we just got to take a breath, like you have to like recenter yourself and recognize like what you're doing and where you are. And so, I get it. Like we at the end of the day, there's not much to say, but really, I just think it's something that like, the reason why we're even talking about this is because I truly think it's something that people have like forgotten to think about. And I think that like with the new set coming out, there is a big bad this set, right? Like Ruby Sapphire. It's gonna be frustrating to like sit there at locals and play the new, Emerald Steel, the new big bad, over and over and over again. It's gonna be annoying. I get it. Like, it really is gonna be frustrating to like play Ruby Sapphire 5 rounds in a row in some cases. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's saying that's not a frustrating situation, but like, I guess for lack of like a better word, is like throwing a tantrum, so to speak, about it in front of every single one of your opponents is just not the way to handle that situation. And like, instead, like, sure, take your little like, oh, playing this again, but it's okay, I gotta lock in. Like, mentality is the number one thing that's going to contribute to you winning, and also it's just going to contribute to you and your opponent having a much easier time, where it's less awkward, and so you're going to play better if you can just take a second, and you're also not going to make your opponent uncomfortable, so that, I guess that's why we're talking about this, is because like, we have a big bad coming. It's going to be a potentially frustrating situation. People are like calling for Sapphire Coil to be buckied already. We haven't even seen how like everything's going to shake out. So that's why we're getting ahead of this and saying, look, we're going, actually, I guess when this is released, you know, Archazia's Island comes out today. So take your losses gracefully and stop thinking, well, if my opponent didn't get lucky, I would have won, and start thinking, what can I do better? And you will have a much better time playing this set. Mic drop.
Nothing.
Nothing. I feel like I was too angry, guys. I just want to say thank you all so much for watching.
You got problems.
Me every time I play again. Wait, do it again. I got the camera big on you now. Oh, every time I play against Ruby Sapphire. Play against Ruby Sapphire for the 5th round. Oh.
when my opponents complain, I'm winning. Like, I like the tears play. With all the money, I'm winning.
So yeah, okay. Well, I mean, we're getting a little, you know, light at the end, but that's just to say, like, we wanted to come in hot. I'm trying to be more controversial, guys. How did I do? But seriously, you know, back to Nice Willow. Seriously, I do think like this is something valuable that we can all learn from, and it's something that I'm truly working on. So if you're one of my opponents, I was like, well, I thought you were kind of rude to me when I played. I'm sorry. I'm working on it. I'm trying to get better every day. You know, and we're no strangers to failure. We're no strangers to making excuses. But this is something that we're striving for. We wanted to share this goal with you all to hopefully, you know, hopefully to inspire some change in the community, positive change. But I think that's going to be it from us, unless you got anything else to add.
Nothing.
Great. That's going to be it from us. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave us a comment. Are we way off center? Is there something we're not thinking about here? Or do you agree? Is this something that you're working on? You know, we love to hear from the community. We've been having really great like feedback with these discussions and going back and forth. We like genuinely take time to like write paragraphs back to you guys. So please keep chatting with us. But besides that, leave a like, press subscribe. We're almost at 200 subscribers. Hopefully by the time this comes out, we're at 200. And we will see you guys in the next video.